Welcome back to my channel and welcome to another video. Today we are back with my Hobonichi Teco 2023 cousin. There will already be a video up on my channel where I haul this planner and I talk to you a little bit about my plans with it, and another video that will be coming soon, which is my setup for this planner. But there is a spread that I want to do as part of my setup, which I need to do separately in its own video, I think, because of how long it's going to take me. So I'm filming that content separately. This video will come out first before the setup video, which I know is a little bit backwards, but that's just the way it goes. A few things before we get started. I'm filming this in the conservatory today. The weather is pretty horrible here in the UK, which you might be able to hear right now. It's very rainy and windy, so I do apologise for that. I apologise that we've got the black background rather than a white background or a wood background, but this room has the best light today, so that's where we are. It does also mean I'm at a funny angle because of the tripod I use in here, but again, I really wanted to film this and it's just about using the light that we've got. My plan for this planner is to use it as my functional planner, so I will be using it hopefully daily to keep myself on track, to journal, to keep some of my plans in order, to habit track, etc. And one of the things that I've not done in the last few years is write down any kind of goals. I used to use the Makse Life goal system, which I used back in 2021, and I did really enjoy it. I really enjoyed the process of generally doing goals. And then post-pandemic, I really struggled and I needed to take some time off from specifically goal planning. I've still had goals, some of which I've achieved, some of which I haven't, but I really needed a break from hardcore goal planning. I'm starting to get to a point where I think I can come back to that. I don't want to be doing yearly, monthly and weekly actions. I'm even wary of using the word goals, to be honest. I need to re-establish my relationship with goal planning. So this is really just key areas of focus for the year, but that is basically goals. The best way that I enjoyed doing this in previous years was in a mind map. I'm a really visual person and I just really enjoy the process of creating a mind map. My mind map that I did a couple of years ago was really inspired by Taylor of Tattoo Teacher Plans. If you haven't watched her channel before, I would really recommend it. She uses the Makse Life goal setting system where there are 8 areas of life and you focus on creating goals in different areas. And Taylor is a really good advocate of the system. I think she breaks down how to use it really clearly. So I would really recommend checking her out. I'm not sure if she does a mind map like this anymore, but it was my favorite part of setting up my goals back in 2021. And so I really wanted to create it again. And I feel like this double page spread, which is right before the January daily, is the perfect spread for this kind of thing to be created. So let me give you an idea of what I'm talking about here. So this is my, basically my map out of my ideas. I didn't want to put it in the planner straight away without having a go at it first. So this is my mocked out spread of what I'm talking about. So in the center we have my word of the year. My word of the year is peace. Now, given that my channel is called Peace Love Plan, you're probably thinking that's an obvious word of the year, but it really fits with what I'm hoping to achieve in 2023. Peace for me means 2 different things. One, it means being at peace. That's being at peace with who I am in terms of my personality, with how I look and my general being. Generally in 2022, I've developed some really bad habits around using very negative language about myself. I really need to try and undo some of that work. And so I need to become more at peace with who I am and my experiences so that I can generally be happier. I also need peace. My social battery and my general battery is at 0, if not lower than 0 right now. I wake up every day and think I don't have enough energy to tackle what's ahead of me today, and I really need to try and overcome that. So I want to spend more time being peaceful, resting, reading, less time that is not intentional on social media. I want to grow my social media following, but I don't want to be mindlessly scrolling. So I need to be more intentional with how I use that. Intentional was actually my word of the year back in 2021. So that's fun. I think that word still works for me, but peace is the one that's just really speaking to me for 2023. I want to put my phone on do not disturb more, things like that. And I'll be talking more about how the areas I'm focusing on in each area of life will focus on the word peace for the next year. So as I mentioned, the Moxie Life system has 8 different areas of life. I'm not planning to use the Moxie Life system particularly in 2023. I don't have the companion notebooks, I don't have the Moxie Life planner, but I love the system. And so even though I don't want to use any of those additions, I understand the areas of life from having used it in the past. I understand how things split in different areas, and so it felt natural to me to keep using their system even in this way. So the 8 areas of life are personal, fun and recreation, work and learning, family and relationships, health and wellness, spiritual and personal growth, financial and physical environment. And I've set a few things I want to focus on in each area. Some are bigger than others. Financial is quite small. I've made some really good progress on that in the last few years. I don't need to have that many goals for financial, but health and wellness is really struggling. I need a lot of focus there. So I've written out some key things that I think are what I'm going to focus on. And while I'm making this mind map, I'm going to put a voiceover on where I will talk about my ideas for each one. So this is my general idea for the mind map. These are the colors of each of the areas of life that Moxie Life use. They do have some particular highlighters that match their colors now. I just use my general mild liners because that's what I have. And I know which pens match the different areas of life enough for me. I'm not using the planner and therefore I don't need exact matches anyway. But I've used this system enough, and I used it before they actually had the specific pens that mean that I kind of identify each area of life with a specific color and I know which mild liner that is. And so I feel like that's absolutely fine. I don't need the Moxie Life pens. I can just use the mild liners that I have. So these are the pens that most match. I think they're the ones that most people use if they are not using the Moxie Life pens. So I will be using those, and you can see I've already put the color on here to try and not make mistakes in the planner if I can help it. I do also have some stickers pulled out already. I plan to add a sticker for each of the areas of focus on here, which obviously I haven't done on my plan. So I've pulled these out already. This sticker book is from Plannerface. I do PR for Plannerface, so you can use my code CAT10 to save 10% on your orders and add my name in Notes to Seller to pick up my freebie. This advent was from the Christmas Countdown 2021. It's a mini one, and it's the one I'm planning to use for my hobonichi. I have some stickers up front, which are just sort of general journaling stickers I hope to use in my planner at some point. But I just pulled at the back a sticker for each of these areas that I could pull in to just give a bit of sticker focus to this spread, because ultimately I'm a sticker person and I feel it would look cute. And it's what I did when I created this a couple of years ago, so I think it will work well. I think that's generally everything you need to know before I get into this. So my plan is to put on some YouTube. I think I'm going to start with the memory planner flip through Q2 from Tilly Journals and then see where my videos go on from there. I'm going to be switching to a voiceover while I do this so that you can listen to me talking about each of my goals, but I can focus on hopefully not messing it up too much in the planner. If I make the odd mistake, I'll have to work with it. I'm hoping I can fit everything. I've obviously never done a spread in here before, so I'm hoping it will fit. I need to probably write smaller. We'll see. So I'm going to hand over to voiceover me. I do also have my water here. I know a lot of people have a cute cup of coffee in the corner, but one of my goals is more water, and so it's water for me. This is my Cath Kidston glass. So I'm filming this voiceover in the future, still in the conservatory on a rainy day here in England. Hopefully the rain is going to add for some aesthetic background noise pattering on the roof. So the first thing I'm doing here is writing peace, my word of the year, and then the definition underneath. The definition that I found for this is freedom from disturbance, tranquility. I think this is perfect as a definition for what the word of the year means to me in terms of my internal peace, but also peace around me. So I think it's perfect. I then move on to each of the areas of life and I do them in the order that I'll now speak through them. So you can watch me as I do this. I do mess up a couple of times with curly arrows and things like that, but I think I managed to fix it enough that you can't tell too much. So in terms of my personal goals for the year, the 2 areas that I'm going to be focusing on, as that's kind of what I do for each of the areas of life, I then put 1 or 2, sometimes 3 areas of that I sort of most want to prioritise for that area of life. So for personal, it's quiet time and social media. The personal area of life is always the hardest one for me to decide what to put, because I think it encompasses quite a few things. But this one I decided was about the part of me that needs to be sort of happier with who I am and happier generally with how I'm spending my time. So the first one, under quiet time, I've put phone on do not disturb from 9 p.m. This is something I've already implemented. I've amended the time on my phone for my sleep timing, because previously I had it that my bedtime was set to 11, and I need to do that earlier. 11 is too late for me. I really need to establish a better sleep routine. So what I've done is I've set my bedtime as 9:30, which means my phone shut down from 9, and I will then do 9 till 9:30 doing like skincare, because that's another of my areas that I need to focus on. So I'll be doing that and then be going to bed at 9:30, but reading in bed, because if I read in bed I tend to get more tired. My eyes will get tired and I'll fall asleep earlier. So I think that will work well. I've also written one of my goals there as relaxing is a plan, because this is something where I'm someone who overfills my schedule and I need to not do that. So relaxing being something I block time out of in my week, I think is really important. I've also added in bedtime routine, which I've already spoken about. It's related to skincare in particular, which is why I've used that skincare sticker. And then also having more evenings at home. I've actually taken a bit of a break from shows, which is what I do. My main hobby is musicals. And the group that I'm happiest performing with is really far away from where I live. And I think I need to focus on re-establishing my routine first before I get back into shows. It's quite difficult to choose not to do my hobby, and I will probably change this up partway through the year, but at least for now I think the focus I need to have is re-establishing my routine rather than travelling across the county at all times of night. So then we move on to social media, and this is more about just growing my social media. I've had a really good month in December of 2022 with social media. I did Vlogmas again, which was a lot of work, but to be honest, did go well. I didn't get as many views on the videos as I think I would have got if I'd uploaded them at other times of year. That's just the nature of Vlogmas. But I did gain a lot of followers, particularly on my planning Instagram, and a lot of people were engaging with my content more than usual. And so I think that I'm in a place where I can start to actually grow my social media. They've been a bit stagnant, particularly my Instagram, for a little while. And I'm just feeling generally happier with how I'm making content. I've taken pressures off myself in terms of everything having to be absolutely perfect. I now spend a little bit more time just putting up content that still is of reasonable quality, but doesn't necessarily have to be 100% perfect. It's meant I've got a lot more videos and posts out, and actually I think that my grid looks better for it. So I'm glad I've taken the pressure off. I think everything is better as a result. So that's just what that is about growing Instagram and my YouTube channels, and then also about consistent routines. So trying to plan in content and when that will go up. Fun and recreation was a harder one for me to fill in this year, but I've decided to go for 3 different categories. The first one is holidays. Given that we are saving for a wedding and we went to Florida last year, 2022, there won't be any significant holidays for us in 2023, but I would still like to go on holiday. My dream holiday would, at this stage, other than what I would like to do for our honeymoon, is that I would like to go, I think, on a cruise, although I am worried about getting seasick. But a YouTuber that I follow, Meg with Books, went on a really cool cruise earlier in the year, and I'm really interested in that. So that is one of the things I'm considering. But also just, I think Stuart would love to go to Italy, and so maybe Italy. I think it's just about getting in some of the bucket list holidays we would like to do before we move into the next stage of our lives. I would also love to do a weekend away as well. I'm very big on going and exploring the UK and spending some time in a UK village. I'm actually not someone who really likes to travel, to be honest. I have no interests in going to places around the world, particularly where I don't speak the language. It's like quite a big fear that I have, and I'm not very good at eating different foods. I'm a lot better than I was, but still not great. So I don't have any great desire to travel the world, but I would like to go on a weekend away in the UK. For experiences, we very generously got bought a lot of vouchers for Christmas from our family. My mum bought us an afternoon tea voucher. We also got some vouchers from Stuart's family as well, like really lovely. There's like a comedian. We're going to go see Carl Hutchinson, who we've seen before and love.
There's also some other vouchers like eating out vouchers and things like that. So I'm really keen to make sure we use those. I also have some theatre vouchers that I was bought last year for my 30th. So I would really like to make sure we use those. But I have written to make sure we space them out. As I've mentioned, I am someone who will fill every day of a week. If there's no plans in it, I assume it's free, and I need to make sure I think about, actually, do you need to be resting on that day? I've then also put in a hobbies section. So the first one I've put is read 100 books. I read 55 books in 2022. 100 is completely over ambitious, and Stuart thinks I'm being ridiculous in setting that as a goal. But I like to be ambitious, and particularly as I would include graphic novels in that, it might be achievable. I don't know, we'll see. I think particularly if I'm not travelling around for rehearsals, I'll have more free time. It's just that sometimes when I'm at home, I don't prioritise reading, but I do read on my commute. So we'll see how that goes. It's overambitious if I don't meet it. It's totally fine. It's just an ambitious goal. And then I've also written calligraphy. I went on a calligraphy class that my mum bought with my brother's partner a couple of months ago, and I absolutely loved it. I found it so relaxing, and Stuart bought me an absolutely beautiful calligraphy set for my Christmas present, which was an absolute surprise. It was so lovely of him. So I would really like to carve out some time to work on calligraphy. I also want to write everyone's names in calligraphy on our save the dates for our wedding and on the invitations. So I need to get good at it because we're sending those out to all of our guests. So then we move on to work and learning. This is, I think, one of my smaller areas. I used to set a lot of goals in this area, but to be honest, work is the biggest issue for me right now. There are some elements of my job that are very challenging, and I'm still trying to figure out how I'm going to deal with that in 2023. So instead, I'm putting more of my focus on the other areas because I think they will feed into work and generally make things better. But I have put my sort of 2 work goals for my full-time job as finish on time. I've really lost the ability to leave my job at the hours I should. So that's one thing. I haven't written it here, but I'm thinking about working earlier hours when I work from home, because I think if I had more of an evening, I would generally feel better. And also about not taking work home. I'm someone who will rant to Stuart for hours about various things, and it's not really fair on anyone, and I don't think it's making me feel better. So I need to get better at that. For learning, I put start to learn to drive. I'm hoping that a driving instructor is going to have place for me in the new year. He seemed quite positive that he would, so fingers crossed. It's a big goal for me. It's something that I have wanted to do for years but haven't done because of the pandemic. So that's something that I'm really hoping I'll get to. And then I've also added in the Planner Face Mystery Year 3 here. I used to have working with Anna on this under personal, but to be honest, I do spend a lot of time on it. And if I add it into work, it makes me feel a little bit better that my work goers are not just all kind of, my normal full-time job related. It's like fun to think of Planner Face as a different kind of work. I then have family and relationships. So I've split this into family and friends and Stuart. So in family and friends, I've added Newcastle trips. This is where Stuart's family live, and we've got a few that we'll do in the early part of the year. It's not really a goal, they will happen regardless, but it was just a nice thing to put. And then I've also put my cousin's wedding. This will be the big time that my dad's side of the family all get together this year for my cousin's wedding. So I thought I'd put that there. I have also then put it's fine to say no. This is something where I had a sort of one-off session with a counsellor a couple of weeks ago, and I actually should have put on here find a therapist. That is actually one of my goals for 2023, so I might see if I can fit that on. But it was very short session but very useful around helping me think about how I need to not say yes to everything because I feel guilty. And it goes back to that planning and rest time. So that's just a reminder for me that it is okay for me to do that sometimes. I can just schedule it for a time that is better for me rather than bending for everyone else. Then for Stuart, I've put in date nights. Thankfully, because of all those vouchers, this might be a bit easier to do, but we don't schedule in date nights enough. And then I've also put enjoy wedding planning, which annoyingly got a bit smudged. I didn't realise this pen would smudge, so that was an interesting learning curve for me. But it's really important to me to enjoy wedding planning. I haven't enjoyed the first part. We looked at probably too many venues compared to what other people have said they looked at because we didn't really know what vibe we wanted. And trying to decide how many people we're going to invite has been very, very stressful. And I don't love this part. So I'm hoping that once we get the save the dates out in the new year and things like that, that I will feel a little bit better about wedding planning and just kind of focusing on some of the areas that we need to for that. Then health and wellness, as always, is my biggest area of focus. This is really where I want to spend most of my time. So for my body, I've put I need to get back to Peloton classes. I don't have a Peloton, but I have a unbranded, much cheaper spin bike. Though my stretch goal is that if I work out 3 times a week on my Peloton, like with my Peloton classes for 6 months, I can buy a Peloton bike later in the year. I doubt I will achieve it. I haven't so far, but we'll see. Oh, sorry that you can see my face in the in the frame there. I've also put running here. I was really good at running in 2020 or 2021, but I would really like to get back into running. Probably not while it's raining like it is currently in England, but it would be really nice to get back to running. I've put drop 1 dress size. This is permanently there, and my focus for this is not about losing weight. It's about generally being healthier. I'm on quite a lot of medication for other stuff that is mostly stress related, and it would generally benefit my well-being if I lost some weight. So I word it as drop a dress size rather than drop a certain amount of weight, because I think it's a more visual target of how much weight I've lost. I then put in mindfulness. This is something which I'm not very good at, but I do have the Headspace app, which I use actually for sleeping. The sleep stories are really good. I would really recommend it for that. But they have so many mindfulness things on there, and I pay for the app anyway, so I should definitely use that more. I've also put finish immunosuppressants. These are the very heavy duty medication that I'm on right now for my urticaria, which is the chronic condition that I have. Things got very bad about midway through 2022, and so now I'm on quite heavy duty medication, and if this doesn't work, I'm going to have to go onto injections. None of it is very fun, but if I make all of these goals in general, I would be less stressed, and that might reduce my urticaria, so who knows. Then in terms of food and drink, the first one I've put is only have 1 sugary drink a day. I've already started this. This is the most achievable goal in this area for me, I think. I like J2Os a lot, but I only need to have 1 a day. I can drink water the rest of the time. I would feel a lot better for it. So I think that one will be fine in the main. Salads, this is something where I go through phases with whether or not I'm happy to have a salad, but I really do need to try and swap out my other lunches that I've been having for salads again in the new year. I've then put low calorie snacks. I am a snacker. When I'm feeling low, I need a sugar rush, and I have been most successful in losing weight in the past by swapping out snacks for lower calorie snacks, because I don't think it's feasible to just not snack. And I do have some lower calorie snacks at home. I just need to make sure I'm eating those rather than the higher calorie snacks that I'm more drawn to. And then I have meal plans. So we use Gusto, which is a meal box kit. And we've used Gusto for a couple of years and I really love it. But I think we have got a little bit, we've sort of slacked a little bit with it. We have not gone for the full 4 meals as often as we should. We've kind of reduced it. We get 2 or 3. We've cancelled it some weeks. And I just want to make sure that we keep using Gusto, because it's really good for me to have Gusto, but because of the quality of meals that we eat is much better than if I just cook at home. Stuart's vegetarian, and I find it really hard to think of sort of good quality vegetarian meals that I can cook at home. But also I mean sort of generally meal plan that means that we don't eat as many takeaways. I've not written it on here, but ideally, like Stuart and I would like to aim for just 1 takeaway a week. So meal planning would help with that so that I don't get too distracted. The next area is spiritual and personal growth. I've split this into external and internal. For external, this is for me around charity and giving back. This was how I mapped it out back when I did these goals in 2021, and it really helped me. So the first one is donating each month based on the pages that I read. I want to pick a different charity each month that I'm going to donate to, and I will donate £1 for every 100 pages I read in that month. I did it for Polathon, run by JD Rowe Reads in 2022, and it works really well for me. It really gave me a motivation to read more pages. So I'm hoping if I do my own version of it, it will help me read more. And then the next one is I would ideally like to do Race for Life again. I did it in 2020. I raised £600, which was great. Or I would like to do the moonwalk for breast cancer, which is happening in May, but I'm not sure I'm actually fit enough to do that. Race for Life, I can train throughout the year. I don't know if I could do moonwalk. So I'm sort of thinking on that still. And then for internal, I'm going to be doing journaling in my hobonichi. So that will be really good, I think. I'm someone who really struggles to journal. I find it a little bit cringy and I want to try and overcome that. I think it would be really good for me to get out some of my thoughts in that way. I want to reframe my language to be more positive. I have started using really negative words about myself and I'm realising now how much of a problem that is. So using some more positive language. And then I would like to do yoga. I really don't like yoga with Adrian. I tried to do that a couple of years ago and I really didn't get on with it. So I want to try something different. I think someone recommended the Peloton yoga, so I'll give that one a go. For financial, this is pretty small for me this year around spending. It's just about being more intentional, reducing what I spend on sort of things I don't need, and then also making sure we're tracking our wedding budget, which I think we'll be really good at anyway. And then in terms of saving, I would like to do more savings challenges because I did loads in 2020. I reduced it in 2021 and 2022, and I would like to go back to more challenges. And I've already done that because I got paid today when I'm doing this voiceover. So I've already implemented another challenge there. And then more sinking funds, though I think what I actually mean by that is leaving money in the sinking fund when I put it in there rather than having more. For physical environment, my first one is routines. I want to declutter more and just, I mean, if I didn't buy as much, that would help, but just not overdoing it with the stuff we have around the house. Regular tidying and cleaning, this is something I really struggle with, particularly when I have depression. It's a real challenging area for me. So I need to try and find a way to implement that more into my schedule generally, sort of day to day, because at the moment what happens is when someone comes over, I clean the entire house. And whilst that's good, and at least then it's clean, I do not keep it tidy. Like we cleaned it for Christmas, which at this point was a couple of weeks ago. Like when we have Christmas with my parents, the house is an absolute state again. And it's just not something I'm good at, and I need to make sure I'm sort of factoring in more time with that. I've then also put make a house a home. This is something I really, really want to focus on this year because I've now lived with Stuart for nearly 3 years, and there are times where I still feel like I'm living in his house rather than it being our shared house. And so there's a few things that I want to do here. I've written wardrobe contractor. That's because we want a wardrobe sort of built into a cupboard that we have, which would really help improve the upstairs of our house. And also putting up frames and art because I have loads that just sat around that we need to put up. I didn't write it on here because I didn't think it was achievable, but Stuart has actually agreed to it since writing this mind map. But I want to move my office into the conservatory, which is where I'm filming this video. At the moment, I work from home in the kitchen on our dining room table. My books are in there, but my planning stuff is upstairs in our spare room. And I just think it would help me a lot if I had my own office space, particularly if it's downstairs. I'm way more likely to film and take pictures. I also have better lighting in the conservatory, even though it gets really dark because we have no lights in here. And so it does get dark early, but the kitchen is really dark since we had the conservatory roof boarded over, which is, I did work in the conservatory a little bit when the pandemic first happened, but the sun was blaring through the roof. We had panels put in and it has massively improved this room. It is still too hot or too cold, depending on the weather outside, but I really don't like working in the kitchen. I'm looking at it now and it's pitch black compared to the bright light of the conservatory. I love this room and it's the biggest room in our house and I wish we used it more. So my plan is to move my office in here, which is really exciting. And I didn't know if Stuart would go for it because it's quite a big change, but he was really on board with the idea. He thinks it will really help improve our house. So I'm so excited about it, and we're hopefully going to be doing that in the first few weeks of the year. I will do a video on this channel where I show you the process because I think it will be really fun, and I know that a lot of you have sort of been following my journey of where I work and how that improves, so I think you will all probably be really happy for me. So I'm really excited to do that. And that's it. Those are my goals. So what I'm doing now in this video is just adding in the highlighter. I did have to leave this about a day because the pen was still smudging, and it did still smudge a little bit on the yellow one, but I pressed lighter with the pen and then it didn't smudge as much. I'm getting used to the hobonichi paper. I'm very used to using other paper. This paper doesn't absorb pen in the same way, and it's not something I'm sort of like au fait with. So I needed to get a bit more used to working on that, but I think it looks pretty good. I'll now hand back over to normal me.
There we go. That is my mind map done. I'm really happy with it. It definitely looks a little bit different to this one in that what I'd forgotten was when I did my previous mind map, I did like fancy curly writing. So it would be like this kind of writing. And I forgot to do that on this mind map. So I was like, yeah, I'll definitely remember when I do the other one. But I was blindly copying and copied the personal. So I should have actually like written that out to remember doing it. I also last year, when I last did this a couple of years ago, I wrote in capital letters behind it. So I would then have like, I'd have the fun and then it would be like the capital F, capital like that. And it looked really cute. Which is what I tried to remind myself of here. But then as soon as I wrote the personal, I was like, this doesn't look right. And I've written so small because the hobonichi is so small that I can't fit capital letters in. So realistically, that wasn't going to work. So I just highlighted the main ones and then I didn't highlight. You see here, I had like the branches. So the branches of personal where I have quiet time and social media. I haven't highlighted those. I've just highlighted the main areas of life. I think it looks fine. It probably would have been nicer the way before, but I think it looks cute. So I'm really happy with it. Yeah, I think that's pretty much it because I will have covered everything else in the voiceover about the actual goals. So thank you so much for watching this. Please let me know in the comments down below, what is your biggest goal or area of focus, as I'm calling them? What's your biggest area of focus for 2023? What's the thing you kind of most want to work on? For me, it's going to be health and wellness. There are a few things within that, but at least where I want to start in 2023 is getting back on my spin bike. That's my main one. That's my number one focus goal really for the first part of the year. I'm already doing pretty well on some of the other ones. The water one, where I only have one sugary drink a day. I've been doing that for about a week already. So yeah, there's like some things that are going to be easier than others. The workout one is not going to be as easy, but that's why it's the kind of stretch goal that I want to focus on. But yeah, I would love to know down below, what is your sort of main focus for 2023? I'd love to know. So I will also have linked in the description links to all my favorite shops because I've used a lot of stickers from my reusable album for this. Rather than pulling from my collection, I may not know where every sticker here is from and I won't necessarily have linked every single shop, but do feel free to comment down below if you would like to know where a particular sticker is from and I will do my best to let you know. There's a fair amount here from Plan on Face, Squirrel Prints Co. and Once More with Love on a vague and Joy of Planning. Quite a few from Joy of Planning actually on like a vague glance over. But if there are any particular ones where you want to know where they're from, do let me know. And if I can help, I will. I will also have links in the description to my Instagram at peace.love.plan where you'll be able to see more posts about my hobonichi. And I will also have a link to my booktube channel, which is my other YouTube channel where I talk about books. So if you like book content, please do check that out. It would be great to have you over there as well. Otherwise, I'll see you in my next video. Bye.